Welcome back, guys, to the Mr. Diabetes channel. I got my brother here with me today, the swootest dudest.
Swootest of all dudes.
And we are going to be reviewing our top 10 favorite animes with a funny little twist to it.
But with a funny twist to it.
Oh, nothing like a funny twist.
So since me and my brother have varying tastes, we're going to do the video a little differently. He's going to do the first anime, I'm going to do the next one, and it's going to keep going like that until we hit the number one, where we critique it together as brothers.
Brothers!
Good looking out, brothers.
Number 10, Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin is based in the Meiji era of Japan, right after the revolution ends. Kenshin fought in this war and is known as Batosai the Manslayer for his effectiveness at killing with his blade. After the revolution, Kenshin seeks atonement for all his sins by helping the heir of a struggling dojo, Kamiikaru. Kenshin meets new friends along his journey and inspires them with his kindness and his strength. As Kenshin's past sins come back to visit him, he must choose between the Batosai the Manslayer and the new life he's built for himself with his friends. One of my favorite parts about Rurouni Kenshin is the fact that Kenshin is a protector of the weak. He always comes to the aid of others around him.
One thing that I truly enjoyed about Rurouni Kenshin was that it had an amazing backstory. Like, if you ever want to see some of the truly badass shit that Kenshin did in his jobs as an assassin, I highly recommend going back and watching Samurai X, The Trust and Betrayal. It was really an amazing film.
Even though Rurouni Kenshin is a shonen anime and uses a lot of the same shonen tropes, such as over-the-top action sequences that wouldn't be true to real life, Kenshin is rooted in Japanese history. The Shinsengumi, the Black Ships, and the Meiji Revolution all make an appearance at one point or another. So there's two OVAs for the Rurouni Kenshin series. There's The Trust and Betrayal, which is Kenshin's backstory, his life as the Batosai the Manslayer, and there's also Reflections. And I would definitely recommend you watch the original series, and if you enjoyed it, to go back and watch Trust and Betrayal, and you can skip Reflections completely. It wasn't made by the same director. It didn't have the same premise that he wanted Rurouni Kenshin to have, so you can basically write it off as nothing unless you really want to see it.
And if you just want to skip to the blood and gore, just go straight to The Trust and Betrayal, because it's some epic shit.
It really is.
Number 9. Welcome to the NHK. Enter Takashito Saito, your typical reclusive financial parasite. On top of being unemployed and never going outside, he feels the whole world is an elaborate conspiracy against him.
And that damn neighbor of mine has been assaulting me with that stupid anime theme song all day long.
Love interest ahoy! Enter Mikasa, a lonely high school student who takes it upon herself to care and rehabilitate this reclusive man-child. But she ropes Saito into meeting with her on a daily basis and promises that in a few sessions that he will be cured of his reclusiveness and will move on to live a normal life. The show is filled with comedy gold and has a lot of melancholy effects, all while revolving around
Hentai game?
If you don't like the way that sounds, you could call it a gal game. A lot of people call them moe games, too.
Gal games are the best! I'll walk the path of gal games until the day I die!
That's
Gal games are the best!
So all in all, if you enjoy a slightly disturbed love story, I highly recommend checking out Welcome to the NHK. It was pretty hilarious, and it's only a 24 episode anime, so it's worth the time. You could probably breeze through that in maybe a couple weeks. Go ahead. You got something to say?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately I haven't finished this series yet, but I enjoyed what I've seen of it so far, so I don't really have anything to add. I think you covered everything pretty well.
Swood.
Swood?
They just couldn't stop me. I'm going all up on the rooftops. Swoon this, swoon that.
Number 8, Death Frenzy. Death Frenzy starts in the Tokugawa era of Japan and has an actual timeline for most major events. The story follows Genosuke Fujiki, the first in line to inherit the Kogan style. However, soon an outsider, Seigen Iriko, shows up to the dojo in an attempt to prove his skill. After breaking Fujiki's fingers in a match with wooden swords, Iriko is finally stopped by Ushimata, when he then decides he wants to train under Kogan and use his style for his own selfish reasons. This sets the tone for the rivalry between the once favored Fujiki and the newcomer Seigen Iriko. Death Frenzy is also very graphic with its scenes of realistic gore. The project was produced by Madhouse Studios and uses eerie imagery as well as low chants from Buddhist monks to set the almost horror-like tone of the show. Madhouse Studios did a fantastic job with the series, while trying to keep everything as realistic as possible, but still adding in the elements of anime that we've come to expect, such as exaggerated fight scenes that we may never see in real life. The sword fighting stays very realistic, and you can almost feel the devastation of the blows as they land, like Fujiki knocking someone's lower jaw completely off of their face. As you watch Death Frenzy, you start to realize that realism was highly favored when creating this show. You get the feeling that this would be a true-to-life description of samurai, as the history in this show weaves you into its plot and makes you believe everything that's going on. One of the only bad things I have to say about Death Frenzy is the show ends before the story can resolve itself. Therefore, you're left wondering what happens with Fujiki and Iriko unless you decide to go and read the manga, which I don't think is right. It would have been nice to resolve the story and have everything summarized in one show. However, this show is so well executed and so completely different from any other samurai anime that I've ever seen, I had to put it on my top 10 list.
Danny! Danny!
I really enjoyed Death Frenzy because it was a true-to-life samurai-type anime with a few exaggerations along the way. I felt like they did a really good job giving it that creepy, eerie vibe, and you could feel like there was crazy stuff going on constantly. What'd you think?
In my personal opinion, I mean, I'm a big baby, so that show is way too gory for me. I saw like the first 2 episodes, and it was far too intense. So don't watch it with these small children.
No, definitely not.
Number 7, Black Lagoon. So the story of Black Lagoon revolves around our main character,
Okajima, sir. Rokuro Okajima.
Also known as Rock, a Japanese businessman who was taken hostage and then later recruited by a group of gun-toting delivery men known as the Lagoon Company. Throughout their journeys together, Rock is subjected to a lot of abuse and almost always captured, all while trying to earn the respect of his mildly insane enforcer known as Revy. One thing that needs to be said about this anime is how beautiful the style is and how unique the fight scenes are. I mean, it isn't every day you come across an anime with a running gun type concept like this one. I remember when I first started watching this anime, I couldn't seem to stop watching it. The characters were so iconic and likable, and all the stories were very captivating, along with the great style that wrapped it all in together. I mean, it's just an excellent show. So Black Lagoon altogether, it's like the whole package. Like, great story, great animation, just altogether great anime. Zach, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Revy. I thought she was a wicked badass. It's always great to see a girl just running through with 2 9mm just blowing down everything in sight. And just reminded me a lot of Mugen from Samurai Champloo. I think reminded us both a lot of Mugen.
And if you don't know what Samurai Champloo is, don't worry, because good things are coming your way.
Number 6, Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo is a samurai anime unlike any other. It stands out by infusing elements of hip-hop culture with the already present traditional elements of a samurai anime. If Kenshin is the over-the-top shonen and Death Frenzy is the most realistic, Samurai Champloo would land somewhere in between. The story follows 3 traveling companions, Mugen, Jin, and Fu, on their search for samurai who smells of sunflowers. Fu has some obsession with finding him, and basically blackmails Mugen and Jin into helping her. However, there's a kind of uneasy tension between Mugen and Jin. Even though Mugen and Jin are both swordsmen, their styles couldn't be more different. While Mugen is a shit-talking badass with an unpredictable, erratic, almost breakdance influenced fighting style, Jin is a quiet, polite samurai with a traditional style. At first glance, Jin seems timid and maybe a little bland, but make no mistake, Jin is an extremely skilled fighter who has a reputation. Mugen and Jean claim to want to kill each other, and it becomes a running gag as the show goes on. However, there is also respect between them, as they recognize each other's skills. As the show progresses, Mugen, Jean, and Fu seem to form an almost sibling-like bond, and you could tell that these characters really cared about each other, no matter how often they end up at each other's throats. I really enjoyed Samurai Champloo. It was a refreshing take on a classic anime genre. The soundtrack had a ton of great songs and featured artists like the Nujabes, and they really added to the mood of whatever scene they appeared in. I also enjoyed the art style of Samurai Champloo. It was interesting and it was vivid. It was great to see the way that they blended graffiti and and elements of hip-hop culture with traditional Japanese culture. Another thing I enjoyed about Samurai Champloo is the way that these characters grow and develop right in front of you. You know, they all come in with personal baggage at the beginning of the show that you don't know about, and they work through it as the show progresses, and you learn more about them as they learn more about themselves. Hey, you remember the first time that we saw Samurai Champloo?
Those were the best days!
Those are the all or nothing days!
They're back!
He's up on the nagging. I'll soon be making a shitload of cash with this bad boy.
You are such a jerk! Get a job!
Yeah, baby, bring home the bacon if you want to eat!
Number 6, Tokyo Ghoul. So here we have our main character, the young Ken Kaneki, who is lured in and taken advantage of by that young lady right there. And not in the fun way, more in the this way.
More! I want more! Bad on you. Your flesh is so tender.
Kaneki, now with death on his doorstep, is miraculously saved when a pile of steel girders fall upon him and his ghoul attacker.
Oh, good. This.
A couple quick snips and putting things where they don't belong, and bam! Instant half-breed ghoul. Now the sweetest Kaneki cannot eat any human food at all and must revert to eating human flesh to survive. Kaneki eventually gets aid from other ghouls so he doesn't have to kill humans in order to survive. But not before the most epic eating and puking scene ever made. It's actually kinda sad though.
Hey man, you want some
This is so good! I just need coffee.
So no ribs?
Coffee and flesh. Coffee and flesh. From now on.
So I guess you don't want the ribs? Number 4, Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho centers around Yusuke Urameshi, a 14-year-old boy who dies in the very first episode, within the very first minute. However, after meeting with Botan, who ends up being the pilot of the River Styx, she informs Yusuke that it wasn't his time to die and that Spirit World does not yet have a place for him. Therefore, Spirit World gives him the offer of being able to come back to life, and without giving too much away, be the spirit detective that protects Earth from Demon World. However, what Spirit World doesn't tell Yusuke before he accepts the spirit detective job is how strong these demons will end up being. Most of the time when Yusuke gets into these fights, he's pushed to his breaking point almost every time. Luckily, Yusuke is the type of fighter who's constantly striving to be better, so he's always trying to match these demons, even though he's usually the underdog. Luckily, Yusuke has friends who are also spiritually in tune, and they end up helping him quite a bit on his journeys, such as Kuwabara, his best friend from Earth, and 2 reformed demons, Karama and Hiei. As the story goes on, Yusuke ends up meeting these fighters quite a bit, and they develop quite the bond, even though at first they were at odds with each other. Yusuke also has a girlfriend back home and a mother who he worries about, and as things start to unfold in the demon world or while he's on investigations, they become affected as well, and usually are targeted by the demons themselves that Yusuke is fighting. What can I say about this show that hasn't already been said? Yusuke is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. You can watch him grow from a regular street fighter into one of the sole protectors of human world from the demon realm. Kuwabara, the red-headed pompadour, is Yusuke's best friend by default. He grew up trying to beat him in street fights, but has developed an almost brotherly bond with him as they go through all of these investigations together. I really enjoyed watching these characters interact with each other as their different personalities played really well into the group atmosphere and helped them get through quite a few challenges together. What really impresses me about Yu Yu Hakusho is it still looks great even today. The fact that it still stands the test of time in a generation of mostly CG and anime is really great to me. I'm glad that it can transition well so that a new generation can also enjoy it for the great story that it is.
Earth the toddler bitch! You better speak now before I forever put that pacifier 10 inches down your throat!
So I've learned that you can't solve all your problems with...
Number 3, Norman Gone. The story revolves mainly around two main characters, Coco Hekmatyar, an arms dealer who travels country to country selling her weapons to feuding countries, and a boy soldier named Joda, who guards Coco on her journeys, along with her other bodyguards, which are quite plentiful. This show is rich in character development, great fight scenes, and plot progression. It gave me an almost Metal Gear Solid vibe with all the different feelings and emotions these soldiers brought into battle. With every episode, you pick up on little things from each character's personality and skills. By the end of the show, you know all these bodyguards well and what they're capable of. Basically, if anything about Black Lagoon appealed to you, then I highly recommend you give Norman Guard a try. Number 2 and number 1, Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly, a story about Naota, a boy who's coming to a crossroads in his life about growing up, all while bouncing from girl to girl, that all have pedophilia-like tendencies. Oh yeah, and robots. Robots come out of his head. That's kind of important too.
The show has an amazing animation style with many iconic shots, such as the Never Knows Best cigarette and the aerial view of the town and the medical mechanical plant. The music also ties everything together, as it starts to feel like a music video with Pillow's beautiful music in the background.
Though the show is only a 6-part anime, it's nothing short of a masterpiece, placing comedy, drama, and action all seamlessly together, along with the beautiful music that you've come to expect from the Pillows throughout the course of this show.
FLCL is one of the best animes in my opinion at bringing real feelings into the show. The way that they perfectly illustrate and detail the disconnect you feel as a kid from parents and authority figures is bar none.
There's not a negative thing I can even say about this anime, except for the fact that I wish it was longer. And just like that, our prayers have been answered with a second season already in the woodwork as we speak.
Where'd he go? Hey! Hey! Taro-kun!
Hey! Hey! Taro-kun!
So you may be wondering, Brothers, why are there only 9 animes on your top 10 anime list? Well, we both put together a top 5.
And we both had FLCL as our number 1 anime. So, it's technically a top 9 list.
With a funny little twist.
With a funny twist at the end. So, there you have it, guys. Our top 10 anime list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, please subscribe for more.
We'll have plenty of more videos coming on anime, new and classic games, and a lot more. So if there's a video you guys would like to see, just leave a comment down below, and either me or my brother will get back to you.
And as always, we are just brothers.
Brothers!
Good looking out, brothers.